Hello, good morning. Welcome to Thursday's Right Stuff. I'm Matthew Wright. It's the 25th of June, Tax Freedom Day. Again. I know what you're thinking. Didn't we have one of those just a few weeks back? Well, yes, we did. It was on the 14th of May. And I told you that if you paid your taxes first at the beginning of the year, the 14th of May would be the very first day of the year when you'd actually get to pocket any of your salary for yourself. That was, of course, before we factored in the government's outrageous borrowing. Now that's gone into the equation, and you have to wait until today, the 25th of June, before you get to keep 1 penny of your own money. 176 days into 2009, and everything you've earned so far has gone to the government. There are only 189 days left of the year. Almost half of everything you earn has gone to Gordon Brown. And on that cheery and uplifting note, let's meet the panel. First up, Strictly Star, Anton Dubek. You look like you've seen a breast. You look completely shocked.
I was a bit depressed there for a second.
I tell you, if you're a higher band taxpayer, you've got weeks to go yet, I believe.
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm in the lower band.
Now,
Thank you.
So that, I don't quite know how we can lead into our next question, which was going to be, is it true that you never cook for yourself, you eat out all the time? Is that true?
Well, good heavens above.
Burger King,
I do, yeah, well, you get a
McDonald's.
lot at 7 to 11, 7 to 11, I can't remember. Anyway, I don't cook, no. I don't at all. I'm hopeless, actually. I don't cook a thing. So if you fancied a romantic dinner one night, Anne, it'd have to be at a restaurant.
Have to cook. Oh,
You'd have to cook. Yes, I eat out every day. Not always at, you know, the Ivy and stuff like that.
But mainly?
But often. No, not really. No, but so, yeah, I eat out every day. So, yeah, that sounds terrible, doesn't it?
You.
No wonder I'm broke.
Next, Anton, of course, we've heard her name already. Anne Diamond, ladies and gentlemen. Star of Cash in the Celebrity Attic the other day.
Oh, yes, that's right. Actually, there's a good way around the recession, because that was surprising. Just rootling around in the attic and finding a few... Literally, I found a few old salad bowls and a couple of vases that I'd been... I mean, nothing Ming I'd been given a very long time ago, and we made quite a bit of money. Yeah. I really would recommend it. Don't do it... I was going to say, don't do it for charity. I didn't mean that, but, I mean, if you are a bit short of money, it's surprising what we'll actually, you know, get 40 quid here, 50 quid, and it adds up.
They asked me, but I don't have an attic.
No, well, I don't have an attic, but I
okay.
have... Because I've moved house in the last 3 years so many times, but I've got lots of boxes, and I've discovered absolute junk from years and years ago that I'm paying removal men to move from one place to another. And in the end, no, I thought I'd get rid of a couple of old African masks and things like that, you know, I'm too scared to hang on the wall. So, yeah, and they got 20 quid each, and it adds up. We made well over £1,000.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
that's
just from a few things. So I would recommend it.
You lot. Our special guest this morning, Jerry Springer! Let me just cross off list of things.
Don't get up.
List of things I didn't want to happen on today's show. People going Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. But bless you, why not? A top lawyer, a city councillor, mayor of Cincinnati, TV news anchorman, movie star, chat show host extraordinaire, and now song and dance man, because Jerry is starring as all-singing, all-dancing lawyer Billy Flynn in the hit wrestling musical Chicago. Opened at London's Cambridge... Well, that looks all right, doesn't it?
Well, that was the good part of the show.
Opened at the Cambridge Theatre 3 weeks ago.
Yes. It's a lot of fun.
I must admit, I didn't know that you were an all-singing... I knew you danced, but I didn't know you could do the song and dance thing.
Well, it was scary. I mean, the truth is, I was frightened to death on opening night. I really was. I was physically shaking.
Had you sung in public before? Have you done much singing in public?
Not on purpose. Yeah. But, no, I never really had. And so it was totally new. It was funny. Apparently, the producers had seen me on Dancing with the Stars, which is...
Like Strictly, yeah.
Strictly Come Dancing here. And so they figured, well, I was mobile, and they offered me the role. But nobody... Apparently, no one bothered to ask whether or not I could sing. So I signed the deal, and then they all assumed that someone else had asked me whether I could sing. So I'm here last year, and suddenly they called me in the hotel room, and they said, you know, we know you're in London now. Could you come by? We'd like to hear you sing. And I said, now you're asking me? So I was kind of nervous about it, and I showed up, and I sang a song, and they kind of liked it. So there you go. So now I'm doing it. It's great fun doing. It's great fun doing the show.
It's fascinating. A lawyer,
and the audience gets involved
Chicago.
because they have to guess where the notes were supposed to have been. So it's like an audience participation
All
show.
the right notes, just not necessarily in the right
great.
order. Yeah. And of course, I mean, not that much acting required because you are a lawyer. You are from Chicago.
Yeah, the character I get.
Yeah.
I mean, on that, I understood why they would think of me as Billy Flynn, because he's a Chicago attorney, which is what I am. And then he's kind of flamboyant, which in show business you tend to be. So I get the character. But the singing is, honestly, if you've never sung professionally, it's kind of scary to go out and all of a sudden, you know, there you are, and everyone's staring at you, and you better do it. So.
But the audience don't go, Jerry, Jerry, when you walk down the stairs.
Well, they do. Well, because here's what happens. If you've ever seen the musical Chicago, Billy Flynn gets the biggest opening you can imagine. It's about 10 or 15 minutes into the show. Suddenly the stage goes black. You're at the top of a staircase. There's a spotlight suddenly comes down on you with a drum roll. We want Billy, we want Billy. And you're standing at the top of the staircase in a tuxedo with a spotlight on you. And my opening lines are, is everybody here? Is everybody ready? And then I say, hit it. And I come bounding down the stairs opening with a song. Good Lord.
And the crowd goes wild.
Well, yeah, because there's a stampede to the door to get out.
What about the Jerry Springer Show? Now, it's just entering its 19th year.
We are in the 19th year of my show, and I'm sorry. I want to apologize.
Because the critics, was it one of the things I read? It was the lowest life form, TV's lowest life form. I mean, the critics.
Yeah, I would hope so. But yeah, it's pathetic. But we're starting to get the children of our original guests on now, which is wrong because they were told not to procreate. And no, it's a fun show, and it's been on forever, and I love doing it.
Do you still get a kick out of it?
Oh, it's great fun. It's only 2 days a week because I do 3 shows on Monday, 2 on Tuesdays when we're in. And it's a lot of fun to do. It's obviously shown around the world. People obviously like it. There's some who hate it, but you know, it obviously has enough of a support that it continues to go year after year. So I love doing it. It's great.
Truly once said that you would never have done the show if your mother had been alive. Is that right?
Well, sure, because my mom was very proper, and you know, there are things you just don't. We're all like that. You know, we talk to our friends in a different way than you would talk to your mother. So that's just normal. You know, you know, when I was with my parents and a grown-up walked in the room, I always stood up. You know, you know, they were very strict on manners at home. So, of course, I wouldn't have done it in front of my mother. But that, you know, but we're all like that, aren't we? You know, you give a certain respect to your mother that you don't. Nah.
Even the size of the check.
So my sister says to me, God love her, she says, I'm alive, you're doing it in front of me.
Now, Jerry, of course, never been afraid of laughing at himself, as this classic clip from Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me proves. I'll get on, because you're both British-born, Mike Myers, and yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I was born in Britain. I left when I was 5.
So if you were a tennis player, we'd claim you as our own.
Yeah.
Well, I left when I found out I couldn't be king. So I'm not staying in a country that won't have me as king.
When I see clips like that and the Jerry Springer Show, it's easy to forget. You know, you were seriously political, involved in Bobby Kennedy's.
Yeah, well, I'm still very political. I mean, the serious side of me takes that very seriously.
Do you find the show makes it difficult for people to take you seriously?
Not in America, no. I mean, because they knew me first as a politician. So, I mean, by now, everyone gets that the show is tongue-in-cheek. It's just a silly show. No one takes it. You know, it's pretty hard to be a grown-up today and take my show seriously. So, no, I don't find it ever been. Let's be honest, the show made me famous.
Yeah.
And, you know, no one would even be listening to me if they didn't first know me because of the show.
You did that programme, Who Do You Think You Are, where you looked back. And that was really moving experience there, because you found out things about your family you didn't know.
Yeah, my family was wiped out in the Holocaust, and so I lost, 27 relatives in that. And but I didn't know the details. And because my parents didn't know, they just knew that everyone had been taken away, but they never knew when their parents died or, you know, what camps they were taken to, brothers and sisters. So I lost everybody, uncles, aunts, cousins.
How did you get out? I mean, how did the family or?
Literally, my mom and dad were among perhaps the last 100 people to get out of Germany before Hitler went into Poland. Hitler started World War II on September 1st of '39. My parents got out of Germany like August 17th of 39.
They saw it coming.
And the reason we know they're like the last 100 is because in that show, Who Do You Think You Are, they found they had the records, the visa that got them out, and they had them numbered. And then, of course, as soon as World War II started, no Jews were let out of Germany anymore.
So they went straight to America, did they?
No, they came to England. That's why I was born here.
I see, yes.
And so they got here. They didn't speak English. They made my dad an air raid warden up in Hampstead, and he also sewed uniforms for the British Army. And, that's how we lived. And that's why I was born in a subway.
I was going to say you were born in a
because during the war, the subway stations were the bomb shelters. And a lot of women in their 9th month would spend the nights, if you didn't know, is tonight going to be the night or whatever. And hospitals would set up little maternity wards in the stations. I mean, it sounds like, oh, it's so dramatic, but the truth is, everyone was running to bomb shelters.
Which one was it?
Highgate.
Highgate. So you were born in Highgate too?
Highgate.
Sure, there's a little plaque there.
A blue plaque.
But, the sad part of the story is my mom missed the train.
Just before I take a question from the audience, you sided with Hillary Clinton in the presidential campaign.
In the primaries, yes.
Yeah.
I love her. I think she's great. But I got it. And then once Barack Obama became the candidate, I fully supported him. And I have to admit, I think he's phenomenal. I'm not suggesting everything he's going to do is going to work.
No.
Of course not.
I don't even think he's suggesting that.
But, boy, has he changed the view of America around the world.
Is America still behind him? I still find it extraordinary that, a conservative, small c, Republican country like the United States should come round behind a black democratic president.
Well, see, America is not conservative. The establishment can be conservative, but the American people not at all. And as evidence of the fact is, conservatives tend to vote because they tend to be wealthier people, they tend to be establishment figures, etc. What Barack Obama was able to do, with the help of technology, is bring in a younger generation that normally doesn't vote, that brings in various groups that normally don't vote that much because they feel disenfranchised. They saw in Barack Obama someone that would connect them to power, and so they showed up to vote. So when the American people came out in the largest election ever, he won overwhelmingly.
It's really interesting.
So the people have always been liberal in America. I think the same thing is probably true in Britain, though.
Well, you say, because Gordon Brown went on YouTube to show that he was hit with the kids just before the election, and we got the lowest turnout of all time. I can't understand why. Yeah. Let's have a question from our audience, please, Eric.
OK, well, next week's Chrissy. So, Chrissy, what's your question?
Good morning, Mr. Springer.
Jerry's fine. Huh?
Are you ever thinking... Thank you.
Lord Springer of Highgate.
Springer!
Would you ever think of going into politics?
Again?
Yeah. I've never really... Here in London? In England? And so I am today announcing my candidacy for Prime Minister of the great country of Great Britain. Well, I'm very active in politics now. I never really left. I spend most of my time doing political work, but I make my living outside of politics, and I'm very comfortable with that. I don't think people should, and we'll talk about that later in the show, but I don't think people should make their living in politics.
Okay. Anton.
Just continuing the theme of politics, how did you enjoy your time on Dancing with the Stars? Now, I'm intrigued. I've caught the show a few times. It's a little different from the one over here, but how did you get on with that?
Well, people kept voting me week after week for me to hurt me.
Oh, my word!
That was not a pretty moment. In fact...
What's she doing?
It's the... well, that was a pretty moment, but... No, that was... It was...
I'm not allowed to use that sort of choreography in my work. I don't know what that is.
But that was the paso doble.
Was it indeed?
Yes.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I'll say, I'll have another doble, please.
It's huge in the States as well, isn't it, Dancing with the Stars? It's
Yes, it is. Well, the thing is, I was doing a lot of comedy on this show, and truthfully, that's why people were voting for me. But towards the end, and every week I'd go on and say, stop voting for me. enough. Because it was hard. It was tiring. You know, and I didn't know how to dance. And, you know, I can do a couple of steps. But every week I did the same dance. I just did it at different speeds. Plus, I was 35 years older.
Do you still do it?
Not much, but I was 35 years older than everybody. So it's really a young you know, all the people in it were in their 20s. There was one in their 30s, and I'm 65, so it was absurd. You know, every week I would end the dance in the same corner of the dance floor because that's where the paramedics sat.
What a treat having you here, Jerry.
Yeah.
And you guys at home, this is what's happening on the rest of the show. First, it'll be the headlines. Jerry will lead us through those. Our first talking point, we've kind of alluded to it already. Pay MPs nothing. MPs shouldn't earn enough to make a living from politics, so it's kind of what Jerry was telling The Sun the other day. That's the only way to avoid filling Parliament with career politicians hell-bent on enriching themselves. So I'm going to suggest we go a bit further and pay them nothing at all. Instead of politicians in short pants, why not fill the Commons with pensioners, wise old folk, or part-time workers, or the unemployed? I'm serious. I mean, why pay our MPs anything, or would that ultimately lead to a Parliament full of rich old fogies out of touch with the real world? Would that make it any different from today's? I don't know. I will take your calls on that first. Then, is stress a disease or a cop-out? I want to know if you feel any sympathy for those who take months off work to recover from stress. New research suggests that time off for stress costs our economy more than the seemingly endless strikes in the 1970s. Are we living in a more pressurised world than we did 20, 30 years ago, struggling to cope? Or are we turning into a nation of pansies? Is stress a disease or a cop-out? Give us a call. And finally, who cares if celebrity magazines lie? Strikes me, a lot of these big-selling celeb magazines carry conflicting stories. One week, they're telling you that Brad and Angelina are getting married. The next, they're spreading up. And yet the women I know, OK, my girlfriend, she doesn't care. She just says it's entertainment. Is that all it is? These tales are just there to make us laugh? Does no one care about the truth? Here's Kirsty with the numbers. Kirsty.
Thanks, Matthew. I love a bit of juicy gossip. If you'd like to give us a call, the number is 0207 173 5555. Calls will cost a maximum of 10 pence a minute, and that's based on a BT landline call. So your mobile phone charges and other networks may vary from that. You can also email us, writestuff@5.tv, and if you'd like to send us a text, the number is 80088. Text messages will cost 25 pence plus your standard network charge. Not all messages will be shown on screen, and always put TWS before your comments.
You say you like a good gossip?
Oh, I love it.
But does it matter if it's complete nonsense?
I think it makes it more fun when it's nonsense. Yeah.
10 years I was a gossip columnist, slaving away to bring you the truth. Don't know why I bothered. After the break, we'll be taking a look at what's making headlines in today's papers, including fresh calls for the BBC to come clean on what it spends on the stars. And surprise, surprise, it's Glastonbury this weekend. Will there be thunderstorms? Find out after the ads.
According to the Daily Mail, those who are a stone overweight will live longer than those who aren't. Is this true or is it false? Find out after the break.